383 or 572-0215. Rev-Up St. Lucia, the alpha of radio.
Rev-Up St. Lucia 95.9 FM presents a program that puts your mental well-being first. Mind Matters. Hosted by Dr. Julius Gilliard, St. Lucia's own psychiatrist, taking you inside the conversations that shape our mental health. From stress, relationships, and parenting to workplace balance, youth challenges, and mental disorders. Every Wednesday from 10 to 11 a.m., Dr. Gilliard brings expert insights, real stories, and practical tools you can use. Tune in for Mind Matters on Rev-Up St. Lucia, because at Rev-Up 95.9 FM, your mind matters.
Mind Matters brought to you the compliments of Forsyth.
Mental health is the foundation of our well-being, yet too often it's overlooked. At Forsyth Mental Health Solutions, our team, led by a licensed psychiatrist, provides personalized assessments and treatments for depression, anxiety, psychosis, dementia, and more, bringing expertise, compassion, and solutions that make a real difference. We also provide forensic psychiatry assessments, mental capacity evaluations, and workplace training and seminars, giving organizations the tools to support employee mental wellness. For more information or to schedule a consultation, visit us at the Top of Your Hospital, New Wing, Castries. Call 459-2234, send a WhatsApp message to 584-9498, or email us at forsych.mhs@gmail.com. That's forepsych.mhs@gmail.com. Our professional staff will be more than willing to assist you. Visit Forsyth Mental Health Solution and let us build a future where mental health is prioritized. Because when minds thrive, so do people.
It's now time for Mind Matters with Dr. Julius Gilliard. Dr. Gilliard, it's always good to see you. Good morning and welcome once again.
Good morning, Andre, and good morning, St. Lucia and the diaspora. Welcome back to Mind Matters on Rev-Up 95.9 FM. Today is Wednesday, it's 10 a.m., and we are continuing our men's mental health series with a deep and necessary topic. And today I call it the cost of the mask. Last week we discussed how boys learn to hide their emotions, and today we talk about what happens when that little boy grows up to be a man who cannot ask for help, who cannot show their pain, and feels that he must suffer alone, because we know that every man wears a mask, and many men are dying because of that. Today we have a special someone here with us in the studio. You've seen him on the stage, you've heard his music, but there's a side to him that most people don't know. So ladies and gentlemen, local soca artist and strong advocate for disadvantaged young men and women, but today we're focusing on men, Mr. Jonathan St. Rose, also known as Ninja Dan. Welcome to Mind Matters.
Yeah, man, thank you for having me. Good morning, St. Lucia. Good morning,
Beautiful.
Andre.
Welcome to Rev-Up.
Respect.
Yes, so let's begin with the truth society avoids. Men get depressed too, but it really looks like depression. Men's depression often shows up as anger, as shutting down, as drinking or smoking, as isolation, as working constantly, as emotional distance. Men will say, I'm tired, I'm stressed, I good, that's a famous one, I good, but inside they might be drowning. Yeah? So, Mr. St. Rose, you grew up in communities that didn't give boys space for weakness. Can you talk about that? What happens to a young man who tries to show emotion in the ghetto, for example?
Well, even before I even go there, you'll find it all begins with disconnection. Mm-hmm. And I like to use myself as a perfect example because of my experience. Disconnection in the sense of even when you're in your mother belly and your father keeps speaking to your mother in this harsh tone or this disrespectful tone. Mm-hmm. The disconnection begins from there inside of your mother belly. Fathers, when you come out from birth, absenteeism of fathers or father figures or broken homes. And you always find the behavioral change of the mothers being harsh. So you now as a child, you shut down. Because every time you want to say something, your mother says, shut up. Or somebody around you tell you, shut up. Or somebody in your community tell you, shut up. Now the fact that they keep telling you, shut up, it's literally you going to be shutting up yourself because you're afraid to speak out. You're afraid if you want to express yourself in some kind of way, you're afraid that somebody is going to put you down or somebody is going to talk down to you. So we now, as young men in our society, we go through a lot of that, especially in the fact that before, when I was young, there was community that was to raise our young men and our young girls. Now that has changed in the sense of conditioning. A lot of our men, our adults, men and women, they're conditioned so much that they're not even aware of the problems that's happening inside of their homes. So hence that question you asked me there is deep, because I've been to around the schools and I ask children that very $1 million question. How many of you, your parents tell you if somebody knock you to knock them back? And children can't lie. All of them raise their hand. But then I ask the parents, how many of you tell your children if somebody knock you to knock them back? They're watching one another like they're afraid. I say, don't be afraid because the children already put your business out. Yeah? And then we fall back to the young men, their fathers, the gangsters, or the bullies, or the, how to put it, the tough guys in the ghetto, or the tough guys in the community. They will tell their sons, guys, don't make nobody knock you, you know. Don't come home with nobody. Don't come home crying, you know. So you as a son, my father telling me, boy, don't make nobody knock me or don't go with nobody lash. I either have to prove myself or I have to try and find a coping mechanism for me to deal with that situation.
Yeah.
I hope I answered the question. Sorry.
Yeah, you kind of did, and thanks for that.
Yes, sir.
You see, apart from hiding depression, boys and men also hide anxiety. So there's a lot of pressure on men to carry, because they carry a heavy mental load, and men are required to provide, to protect, to perform, to never fail. So those are all things that are familiar to a lot of men, in fact, boys growing up and men. And a lot of the mental health issues that, for example, I encounter in my practice and from engaging with men, it's because of those things. They worry about money, they worry about family, they worry about their reputations, their relationships, they worry about aging, and that's why most of the suicides that take place, completed suicides, are among middle-aged to elderly men. They worry about survival, especially in the ghetto communities, because being weak is not an option for those men. So instead of saying I'm scared or I'm feeling sad, society expects them to handle it, and that's really not fair for the young boys and men growing up. Mr. Centros, again, you work with a lot of young men who feel pressure every day. So they're in poverty, they're in violence, they're unemployed. How does that kind of stress affect them mentally?
It affects them mentally because most of them young men, when I speak to them, all of them want to be a better person. All of them want what is best for them and their family because they say that. But then they also say that due to the condition of the environment, the place where they're at, the place where they're staying it's almost like it's impossible, or it's like a no hope situation.
They feel trapped.
Yeah.
They're trapped. Because let's talk about a child being a bully at school. That's his coping mechanism. That's how we're dealing with the pressure. And most of the time a child is a bully because of what he sees in the house. And most times in our homes, 98% we have broken homes, broken families, broken fathers, broken mothers, making broken children. And it's continuing and continuing and continuing. So a child who is a bully at school, he is a saint at home. But whilst he's a saint at home, he's watching how his father is talking to his mother. He's watching how his father is talking to the neighbors. Oh, my father is a bully. I want to be like my father. And the father, even if he's not even aware that he's being watched by his children.
So can I stick up in here, Mr. Centros? So right along those lines, there are some children who are not saints at home, but they may have a lot of difficulty dealing with their emotions at home, and the parents are intolerant of their behavior, and in essence, the parents bully them. So I have a lot of emotions because I'm a growing child, and a lot of stuff happening in my body and my mind I have no clue how to deal with, and I act out, and I am beaten, I am rejected, I'm insulted, and so that those emotions now turn into anger. That when I get into the school system, I still don't know what to do with the emotions, and I know that at home I'm rejected, and nobody cares about me and my emotions at home. So when I exhibit some behavior at school, I'm punished again. So then I tell myself the whole world is against me. So it makes no sense. So I just do what I want.
And just to stick up in your point, the whole world against me. As a young boy, I used to listen to that song from Tupac, Me Against the World.
Yeah.
And that song used to motivate me. That song was one of my coping mechanisms to make me strong and to face the battles I have to face every day. That is one of the songs that kept me resilient and kept me stoic.
So you heard what you said there, right? To make me strong. So why do you have to be strong? Why do men always have that burden of being strong?
Well, we always say survival.
Exactly.
Everything around us is survival.
Exactly. So then what I find is that most men, or the large majority of men, go through their life in survival mode. And survival mode, we've learned from this show, is basically stress. So you go through your entire life stressed. Sometimes you may notice it because your body reacts or you behave in certain ways. Other times you don't notice it, and I can tell you most of the times they don't notice it. And a lot of men don't know what they are feeling because they have been taught from early to hide it, to throw it away, to put it in the background, and to not show it.
And one of the most loudest coping mechanisms of a young man, and when I say a young man, I mean from the ages of 14 up until, is promiscuity. Promiscuity in the sense of you thinking that being a macho is that's going to validate you
so that's trend.
as a weakling. So you running women because you're broken, because you never had your mother to give you that emotional love, that emotional support, because mommy always at work and mommy leaving you in the house, and mommy sometimes leave you for tablet, or mommy leave you for neighbor, or mommy leave you for stranger. But mommy have to go and find work to make sure she put food on the table for you and clothes on your back. But you feel neglected emotionally because where is the hug? Where is the love? If I fall and I have a bobo, where my mommy to kiss my bobo on? You don't have that. So majority of our young men growing up brokenly like that, and I was one of them.
Yeah.
And I thought that being promiscuous was a sweet thing because I looking for love. And at the same time I'm looking for love, I still looking for a motherly figure in the woman I trying to get that love with. And it's in my 40s. I kept hearing that voice in my head telling me, boy, discipline. Discipline, discipline, discipline. So I keep saying, but why you keep troubling me on discipline? And that is when I end up meeting up with Mr. Gillard for the first time. And Mr. Gillard ended up planting that seed of trauma in terms of going on research, go and do that research of the trauma circle, and that is what opened the whole can of worms for me to come to that self-realization and that awareness as to, hey, Ninja, you have to stop that, because that is a coping mechanism, and that coping mechanism is a dangerous thing. You could lose your life in that, and you're affecting other people emotionally by that. You telling them you love them, but really and truly you don't love them. You understand? You're trying to get that kind of satisfactory pleasure.
Validation.
For validation.
Bravo, Mr. Gilead.
Well, I mean, I do my best. Sometimes we meet and speak with persons and we don't know what kind of seed we're planting. So I do my best to reach out as much as I can to whoever comes into my bubble. Yeah. So
Ninja Dan just happened to come within
into my
that
bubble. Yes, he just
okay.
happened because him and Dr. King are very close, and Dr. King told me, I have this interesting person I want you to just talk with. You don't have to do anything with him, just talk. And we had a pretty good conversation.
But Ninja Dan's story about the promiscuity and so on describes the
majority
life of majority of men.
Yes, so that
let's talk about St. Lucia.
Yeah, so that's true, and I'll tell you why. Because a lot of men growing up never got a chance to tell anybody, I feel weak. I feel a lot of emotions I don't know what to do with. I feel helpless. I feel hopeless. Because they were told that you have to be strong, you have to gain power to be powerful. So power is strength, and one of the ways that men can show that power is by being sexually powerful, basically. So the more women I have, that's what society tells men. The more women I have, the stronger I am. The more masculine I am, the more manly I am. And that is just a mask, because a lot of men behind that mask are in significant pain. They can't cry, they can't trust people, they have difficulty sharing with people, and it's basically in survival mode, like he just said.
But Dr. Gilliard, aren't we supposed to be strong?
Why?
What's strong?
Why?
Physically or mentally?
But let him answer why. Yeah. Why are we supposed to be strong?
No, let me explain what I mean when I say strong. You are supposed to be like the anchor. Okay, you're supposed to be the one holding the fort.
Okay.
You're supposed to be, or expected to be, the leader.
I'm beautiful. I'm glad you changed your wording to expected.
Yes, that's right. But I'm asking you, aren't we expected to be that?
Exactly. So that is the issue. We are expected to be that without any kind of other support.
I don't follow.
Okay. An anchor, when it's thrown into the sea to anchor a ship, yes? How much support does it have? Is it just one anchor, or some ships require 2-3 anchors? Yes? The anchor itself has a lot of support behind it. So telling men that you have to be strong and you have to hold the fort together and you can't show weakness and so on is not fair, not just to the men, but not fair to the things that the men are trying to be strong for. Because then they cannot be present for their families. They cannot be present for their work. They cannot be present for their friends. And that is because they cannot be present for themselves, because what they're showing is not their true selves. So they cannot be present. And as long as you cannot be present for yourself, then you are not being authentic, and you are not, you basically, it's a mask that you're showing, and you're in survival mode. So you're just living your life with stress.
So, can I ask you a question?
Sure.
Tell me if that's strength or that is resilience. If you're in a relationship and a woman come and slap you in the presence of your friends, and you just stay there, you take your slap and you move. Or you take your slap and you get angry.
And you lash out.
Which one is more?
Well, I think if I were in that position, I'll be defending myself if I slap you back.
Yes.
Well, that's where you have the problem. That's weakness.
Yes.
Because am I not defending myself?
No, but that is not vulnerability. And if you go into the works of a lady in the US called Brené Brown, who has done a lot of work on vulnerability, she tells you that we believe that when we're vulnerable, we're weak. But actually being able to be vulnerable is strength. And I'll give you a little example. A lot of men use sex as powerful and strength, and they macho and so on. But a man having sex with a woman is one of the most vulnerable acts that he can perform, because he's actually exposing himself to the woman. Yes, he's naked before the woman, and then during the act, I'm sure both of you can agree, if any woman ever tells you, what you doing? I feeling nothing. How would you feel?
Finito.
You understand? So that's a man being in one of the most vulnerable positions in his life, and he's not realizing it.
But Ninja Dan, you know that when men react like the way I said I would respond, right? I would respond because I'm defending myself. You know, people get upset at us when a female responds that way. It's something totally different.
True.
If a female slaps a female and the female responds in like manner, we don't get upset at the females for doing that, you know. But the men.
Let me tell you something, Andre, and I like to use myself as an experience. We also have another part of us called our ego. And because of our ego, 99% of our young men in prison. Because the fact that that young lady came and slapped you, your ego is a protection. Your ego will step in. Your ego will say, Andre, you're allowing that person to stop you. And ting. And you listen to your ego because you have nobody else to listen to. And then one time your ego get you hype and pop, you slap the person back. But then you now supposed to control your ego and say, hey, get behind me. I've got this. Because there's consequences for your actions. So which one is better? You face the consequences and you pay, or you just walk away and you choose peace?
So just to clarify something, a lot of persons use that word and they don't understand what it means, the ego. Okay, so actually in psychology, the ego is actually the rational part of you that is the one that makes decisions. And I think a lot of persons mistake that word ego for our pride. Yes, so the prideful part of us, which according to psychology is the one that has to do with what's called the id. So that's the raw one that doesn't take nonsense from anybody, that deals a lot with I want this and this is what I want. Yes? So pride in itself is something, and if you look to the Bible says pride comes before destruction, is
a
it?
fall.
Pride comes before a fall. And that is so true, because the more prideful we are, the more we leave out other person's opinions and emotions, and the more destructive we become, not just with ourselves, but with persons around us. And it's one of the things that bring men a lot of difficulty, especially as they get into manhood, because they feel that they need to be certain things. And some persons, when they do achieve certain things, they become very defensive of it. And if we have to go into what's happening lately, politics, a lot of politicians seek, and they call it being in power. Why does it have to be called being in power? Why isn't it called being in servitude? Because they're serving a population. You understand? So just that phrase, being in power, is, in my opinion, a prideful one, which usually doesn't end well for the persons that use it.
That scenario, I'm just thinking about it, Ninja Dan. That's a very ticklish one. The issue of walking away or defending yourself. That's a very ticklish one.
It's not
because somebody comes into your private dwelling, your residence, okay, and that person attacks you.
That's a different thing, Andre.
Attack you.
That's
and you're supposed to just
that
turn your
person
back
threaten
and
your
walk
life.
away.
That's a totally
That's a
different
different thing.
You defend yourself.
But if a female slaps you,
Yeah, so how is that life threatening?
You're a man. You could take that.
How,
Really?
no, even that phrase. I don't like to use that phrase. You are a man. As a man, you can take it. No,
Okay.
is how life threatening is a woman slapping you in front of your friends.
well, I could have some serious psychological issues, something going in my brain.
So then
And
why
my
not?
brain-
Why not take care of that?
I could be sick at the
Why
time.
not take care of that? Because what the woman did there was to let you know that you have some psychological issue that needs attention. Why are you making it about the woman? Why don't you take care of your psychological issues?
And I want you to address what I said a while ago. Why is it that when a female responds like that, we don't have a problem with that?
Yeah, so persons appear to not have a problem, but what I'm finding these days is that it's becoming more popular that people do respond the same way to a woman attacking a woman, because violence is violence. And when persons cannot manage their emotions like that, then it suggests that they have some deep-seated issues that need attention. So I'm realizing these days, lately, that it's becoming less popular that persons have that view.
But it sounds to me like the onus is on the victim more than the perpetrator.
Exactly, because the victim is the one that persons look to for a response. How do they manage their emotions? Hardly you find persons looking to the perpetrator, because it may be that the perpetrator may feel obliged to respond or react in the way that they did, or they feel hurt by something. So both persons have a role to play. But because society tends to lean towards how does that person respond to an act like that, then persons look at the victim more.
I want to answer you on a different perspective when it comes to emotional intelligence. A lot of us, when you go, let's say we go in front of the judge or you go in front of the magistrate, and you come like a kuno-mono, the judge always telling you ignorance of the law is no excuse. So emotional intelligence is a thing where every St. Lucian, every human being is supposed to be aware of or have a little chapter of that book. Because on our emotions, it could tell us whether you live or you die, whether you survive or you're healthy. Because the moment there is negative emotions and there is positive emotions. Yeah? So there is the anger, the fear, the depression, the worry, all them things. So when that lady slap you, you're going to get angry. That's human nature. But whilst you're getting angry, your body now is reacting. Your body is releasing chemicals called cortisols. Now, them chemicals will help you on a short term, but it'll help you either escape or it'll help you to defend yourself. But in the longer run, it's going to cause you to get sick, cancer, digestive problems, whatever. You understand? So if you're not aware of the emotional damages that anger and jealousy and fear and all that things could cause you, then we have a problem. In comparison to when you're authentic and you're happy and you're calm and you're at peace. So when that girl slap you, pie! It's okay to get angry for 90 seconds and just forget about the anger and switch to something else because you know the consequences of your actions.
Yeah, you're speaking and I'm saying to myself, wow, boy, I taught you well, man. But Andre,
We'll take a little break.
Yeah, no problem.
Okay, this is Mind Matters with Dr. Julius Gillard with the compliments of Forsyth.
Mental health is the foundation of our well-being, yet too often it's overlooked. At Forsyth Mental Health Solutions, our team, led by a licensed psychiatrist, provides personalized assessments and treatments for depression, anxiety, psychosis, dementia, and more, bringing expertise, compassion, and solutions that make a real difference. We also provide forensic psychiatry assessments, mental capacity evaluations, and workplace training and seminars, giving organizations the tools to support employee mental wellness. For more information or to schedule a consultation, visit us at the Top-of-Your Hospital, New Wing, Castries. Call 459-2234, send a WhatsApp message to 584-9498, or email us at forsych.mhs@gmail.com. That's forepsych.mhs@gmail.com. Our professional staff will be more than willing to assist you. Visit Forsyth Mental Health Solution and let us build a future where mental health is prioritized. Because when minds thrive, so do people.
Welcome back to Mind Matters with Dr. Julius Gillard. Dr. Gillard, is back to you.
Thank you, Andre. And before we went on break, Mr. Central was speaking about something, and that's emotions. Now, a lot of persons believe that the behavior that they see when somebody is experiencing an emotion is the emotion. It not necessarily is. When something happens that may trigger a reaction from us, the reaction is one of the last things that happens. One of the first things that happens is that something happens in our body. Then our mind has to interpret that, and usually the interpretation comes by the mind comparing that sensation to something we felt a long time ago. And then it starts to create stories. And then we start to blame the person for what we feel, and then we lash out. So a lot of persons, this has been happening so many times in their life that it becomes almost automatic. So that's why we call it a reaction. So it's a repetitive behavior that they've practiced for so long that it's almost automatic now. And that's why trauma therapy is so difficult, because the person has to become aware of what is happening, has to be aware of their behavior, and then they have to relearn how to respond instead of reacting. And yeah, that's not an easy process to go through. So most persons, when they do start therapy, what they find is that they believe that the therapist is telling them that the person's behavior is fine, but that's not the intention of it. The intention is to bring your awareness more to yourself, so that you learn to be responsible for what you feel, that it's yours. It's not the person in front of you that's causing it. And once we are able to take responsibility for what we feel, then we start to feel more empowered and powerful. Yeah? So since we're here talking about men, one of the painful truths in men's mental health is that many men don't even know what emotion they're experiencing. So many men don't even know that they're depressed. Why? Because they're told to shake it off. They're told to be a man.
Don't ever cry.
Yeah. So be a man. That's the famous one. So don't cry, don't talk. And I was speaking to some young guys some time ago, and their thing is that mental health not for them, because talking to people is just telling them your business. So don't talk, don't ask for help. I can manage this by myself. So then they break in silence. And how is that beneficial for society? When you have a lot of men going through a lot of internal turmoil and breaking in silence. So by the time they get to the mental health services, they're in a mess. Or they get to the prison services, they're in a mess. And that is not fair for society. And I'm sure Mr. Sendros can give lots of examples of him meeting struggling young men who are not bad, but it's just that the pain that they're experiencing is all that they know, and their reactions are all that they know. It's like repetitive behavior. So that's how they've been, and you mentioned coping mechanisms. Mm-hmm. That's how they have coped with their pain, but they're inherently not bad persons.
I want to mention another word that's going to complement what you just said there. And that word is called conditioning. Yeah? And a lot of us don't really understand what conditioning is, in the sense of home conditioning, environmental conditioning, mechanisms conditioning. When I say mechanisms, I'm talking about your phone, the radio, the music, the news, the propaganda, the fets, the movies, the games. All them things is conditioning. Yeah? And all our young men and women are conditioned in a certain way. Let me take you to Grizzly Friday night, for example. We're talking about grown men. We're talking about men from 17 to 45. We all go grizzly on a Friday night. Men. Every man on his different vibe and his different perspective. You have his woman, you have his friend, he's drinking, he's smoking. But a certain music playing in the environment. Let's say a bouillon playing in the environment. All man going to be moving so, because the music invading their privacy, the music invading their subconscious, that even if they're speaking to people, all of them hearing that same song. Move so. Just like in our society, all our men conditioned to think one way. Yeah? To survive, to be macho, to be in power, to be in position, to be in control. In control so much that our women don't even have the validation they're supposed to have. Majority of our men, we look down on our women. We treat our women as a subject. We say love, I love you. And you try to pretend to love, but you don't even know what is love, because it's lust. And lust is the other thing in emotional intelligence, that is the lower frequency. We want to get married to a woman to make sure we have her as a property. Yeah? To know, well, boy, we could fulfill that satisfaction whenever it hits us. But all that is conditioning, because whatever you see your neighbors doing or your friends doing or everybody doing, you want to do it too. So hence the reason why I say a majority of our young men, our adult men, our grown men, we conditioned to think one way. Hence the reason why we the society we are today.
So who or what is causing this conditioning?
The radios, the type of music they're playing. Music is a very powerful thing. Music is the only frequency that could invade you subconsciously without you giving permission. You will walk down the road and you will hear a song. Can you block it from you? No. It will enter your subconscious, and whether you like it or not, you will start singing it to yourself, or you will sing it to somebody, or it will just be in your mind, and it has an effect on you. I've been in arguments where people say music don't have an effect on people. How? But I tell you, I use music to motivate me when I was feeling vulnerable. I use music to give me strength. I use music to motivate me to go and do my work. And the young men use the music as a coping mechanism for if they have to roll on another gang. If I listen to Tupac music, if I listen to skank music, get my gun, smoke my weed, they're smoking weed, drink my white rum, smoke my cocaine, and bow, 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 they're going to shoot. That's how music working on our young men. Mm-hmm. And that is the truth. Because they're repeating every single word. And every time something is repetitive in your subconscious, you will be that. Every time you keep saying something with your mouth, that will happen to you. Every time you keep thinking something with your mind, you will be that. So if the youths go into schools or in the communities are engaged, or they think to one type of music, watch our society. How our society is. People killing one another, people disrespecting one another, people don't care, people don't have no love, people don't have no moral, people don't have no values, vitae. So.
And to use a very apt Bible verse again, death and life are in the power of the tongue. Yeah?
Yes.
And I mean, those of us who've read, there's a book I read very frequently, it's called The Four Agreements. Mm-hmm. And one of the things that he says is that your words have power.
Yes.
So be impeccable with your words. Yeah? And what we speak is usually what manifests in our life. And even I was having the discussion with a patient of mine recently who keeps saying, I don't want to be blah, blah, blah. And it's basically what that person is becoming. Yeah? So I'm asking, what do you want to be? Then the person says. So then why say I don't want to be blah, 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 when that's not what you want to be is not what you're saying. So saying what you want to be is different to saying what you don't want to be. Because saying what you don't want to be is basically what you're calling into your life.
Yes.
Mm.
And there has been research, in case persons are doubting what I'm saying, there has been research on that. A lot of the things that we say to ourselves basically are what happens in our lives. So if we keep telling ourselves, I'm worthless, I'm always depressed, I'll never get a good woman, I'll never get a good job, it's basically what we're calling into our lives, what we're manifesting.
Hence the reason why most of our people in the communities, in the ghettos, think that they're poor, mm-hmm. and will always stay poor, mm-hmm. because you always have them poor. Mm-hmm. Lyrical content, they're sending at one another. You see you, I leave you there to die. You see you could never make it. Every time I see you, like them old zombies down the road, and you see you, and we always throwing talk, man and woman at each other, because we're broken and we don't know better. So hence, money is a thing, is an energy. And if you're always vexed, or you're always angry, or you're always throwing talk at one another, money not coming around you.
Yes, and just to add to that, it's not just about throwing words for each other, but the kind of things that the inner city and the ghetto people tell themselves about themselves. Mm-hmm. So somebody in the ghetto might say, I don't want to apply for that job because I live in the ghetto, I will get it. And they still apply and they won't get it. Or I can't get to that position because I'm a humble ghetto youth. And they basically stay at the bottom of the ladder. So it's about the kind of way that you speak to yourself, about yourself. And I tell everybody, whenever I see somebody being hard on other people, I know that's exactly how they treat themselves. Mm-hmm. Whenever I see persons being angry and ruthless and so on with other people, that's exactly how they treat themselves. So those persons are really suffering inside, and they have no clue about what's happening. They just know, I am angry at the world, but really it's that they're angry at themselves. And that's because the world has always told them that if they tell people that they're angry at themselves, persons will judge them. Persons will not understand them. Nobody can help me because nobody helped me when I was young. The persons who I thought loved me spewed out lots of anger and hate at me, neglected me, chose work over me, adopted 5 children and neglected me, chose a man over me, chose to listen to this person over what I had to say. And so it's just something that just does not benefit our society because,
I have a question for you, Dr. Gillard. The word trust. I want to go into that word trust, where we lose that trust when we're children. And I want to ask you another question. If there is a myth where they say fathers for their daughters and mothers for their sons, if that is a true thing or that is just a myth. Now, when you go back to the trust, we find child and mother lose their trust from small. And then it grows up until they get into adolescence and until they get into teenager, until they get into young adults. It's the mistrust start to be in different factors. So a harsh mother, always speaking down to her child, will cause that child to not trust his mother. If he has something internally that he wants to express, he will express it outside, but he will not go to his mother. And he will grow with that trauma that I cannot trust my mother, and I will go outside, and he will get himself into other things. How do you explain that?
So that has to do with emotional safety. So a lack of trust is usually arises because the person doesn't feel safe with the other person, and that can take place in any relationship. I'm sure you may have a relationship with a woman, and then the woman finds out you have another woman. And so whereas the woman felt safe with you before, she no longer feels safe with you because she feels that you telling her that you love her, that you're being false and you're being fake. So she feels very uneasy, and that's why a lot of the lashing out takes place. And it may happen vice versa, the man with a woman and the woman has another person. And that lack of safety in any relationship is what results in trust being worn out. And because that's somebody you cannot take a chance, or you don't want to take a chance being vulnerable with, because of that break in the trust that takes place.
I want to ask you another question. I know you're not supposed to ask me the question. I want to ask you another question, because the reason why I want to ask you
before you ask, Andre, maybe we can announce, callers can call it.
Okay. The fixed line is 572-9710. 572-9710. That's the fixed line. Or you can WhatsApp 287-0971. WhatsApp is 287-0971.
Go ahead.
One of the things trauma could cause, triggering. We could get triggered every day. So if a man and a woman together in a relationship, anything could trigger that relationship, anything could trigger that man, anything could trigger that woman. But why do the men see themselves in the woman and the woman see themselves in the man? Hence the reason why they're always in conflict.
Yeah, so usually when you have a relationship with lots of conflict, it's likely that is what we call a trauma bond. So it's likely that both parties are trying to resolve something from their childhood, and that never ends well. So, for example, you may have a man who's very distant and doesn't like closeness, or feels very uncomfortable with closeness, and a woman who's always touchy-feely and very into the man. And it's because maybe the man was in a relationship with a parent, and the parent was very intrusive in their life, and that caused them a lot of discomfort. So they don't want that kind of relationship again. And the woman was probably in a relationship where she felt very neglected as a child, and so craves that closeness. So the two of them are what we call opposites attract, because both of them are trying to resolve that issue. So the man is trying to resolve, how can I get that person to stop being so intrusive into my life? And the woman is trying to resolve, how can I get that person to give me the affection and attention that I want? And it doesn't end well because both of them just triggering each other.
You have a call, by the way.
Good morning, caller. Thanks for calling.
Good morning, sir. How are you?
Not as good as you.
You say that? You should say I am very, very well. All right. I love the topic.
Yes, thank you.
And the other guy said something. This is a very crucial thing we need to talk about, and especially you talked about the ghetto youth and where they feel they are in society which creates the reality. Now, what I want to say on that is we've been let down by the church, okay, in the sense that they do not teach us the full meaning of what Christ came to teach us, all right? Because some books were omitted from the Bible during the Council of Nicaea in 1365. Now, if you look at the Gospel of Thomas, it's a gospel of abundance. Now, every man, woman, and child created by the Almighty God has a piece of God in them that gives them that divinity. And no one is supposed to be left hungry, poor, and needy. God made it so for all of us, but we were not taught the right teachings. So what I'm going to say for the ghetto youth is always maintain a positive attitude. Keep thinking positively. Do not allow negativity of your situation to affect your outcome in life. Always have an attitude of gratitude. That is very, very key. If you maintain these things, anything you focus your life on, your mind on, you are a creator just like the Almighty God. You can create your reality by focusing on what it is that you want. You see, now, what they did in the old days to keep us under control is to take away these teachings. So if they take away these teachings of self-determination, then naturally they can control you. That's what I have to say to the youth of today.
Thank you, caller.
Thank you very much, caller.
Just to get those numbers again, fixed line 572-9710 or WhatsApp 2870971. This is Mind Matters with Dr. Julius Gilliard.
Yes, and Mr. Centros, what would you say to a young man who feels like he has nobody in his corner?
Wonderful question. What I would say to a young man who feels that there's no one in his corner. If you feel that there's no one in your corner, basically it's like your back is against a wall or you're between a rock and a hard place. Go into thyself. Because that's what I did. When I came out of prison, you know, everybody had them stereotype and discrimination and all these kind of things I had to survive. When everything around me failed me, when I went into myself, that's why I ended up getting to understand and start listening to my inner voice. And everybody have a name for their inner voices. Some people say the Holy Spirit, some people say the source, some people say whatever. But that inner voice was the one that was able to guide me to stay away from the human nature of things and go into Mother Nature. So go into the bush, by the rivers, go into the sea, start growing myself, start planting, start creating. And that is where I get a fresh breath of what reality is supposed to be. When I start planting every plant, every flower, every tree, and I start seeing it growing, I start getting to understand another level of power, another level of success. Not success as to you having $1 million in the bank or you have a big house and a big car and thing, but success is how you able to deal with the atrocities and the chastising and the disrespecting around you. Well, basically how the normalcy of society is and how you able to be resilient and how you able to maneuver that. So I want the youth and them to know, Gaza, if I was able to do it, where I could have turned the impossible to possible by believing in myself and believing in the presence of God within that is the best advice I could give you.
Mm-hmm. Yes, beautiful. And one of the things I think was important in your case is that you were not, you did not hide your pain. So you were willing to share your pain. And I was reading a book recently that actually reminded me of that. The name of the book was Man Enough. And one of the things he says is that what you hide controls you.
Mm-hmm.
And what you face, you can heal.
Yes.
That's very important. If you don't face your pain, you cannot heal it. Because
Yes.
the more you run away from it, and it's something I tell everybody in my office, the more you run, the more you're going to be chased.
And that is how I was able to heal myself.
Mhm.
That was therapy for me,
Yeah.
in the sense of going to the schools
Mhm.
and speaking to the youths, even though I did not know nothing about conflict management, emotional intelligence, social intelligence, spiritual intelligence. As I said earlier, is Mr. Gillard was the one that planted the seed of trauma into me. And then I took that seed and I turned that seed to a whole forest.
Yeah, and I remember our conversation was after the conversation, you saying that you never realized how much you were affected by your upbringing. You never realized the amount of trauma that you went through. And I guess from that you were able to do some introspection, and you were able to go into your pain and allow yourself to face it and heal it.
Use my pain as a fuel.
Beautiful. And a lot of men have so much difficulty doing that. When I drive by the market and I see the number of men seated under there just drinking and numbing, basically, all I see is pain.
Yeah.
So person see alcoholics and IED2 and whatever, but all I see is pain.
You have a call.
Yes. Good morning,
Yes.
caller. Thanks
Good
for calling.
morning. Good morning, Doctor. Good morning, Andre. Good morning, Ninja Dan.
Good morning.
Morning.
Jonathan St. Rose.
Respect.
Andre, I heard this a lot, going on what the last caller said that, a lot of books were omitted from the Bible, trying to control us, and such and such and such. And I think saying these things, and he mentioned the ghetto youth, I think that's just even causing more chaos, by letting people know that, hey, we're being controlled, they're keeping things away from us, they're trying to control us. Andre, I think we give human beings too much power. The Bible is God's word. God will choose what he wants to put in it. God chooses what he wants out of it. Right? The Bible says it's the inspired word of God. Yes, God used man to assemble it, but God is the one in control. So I will challenge, for me personally, before I go any further, I have gone through a lot of what you're speaking about, emotional and all these kind of stresses. I suffer from a lot of PTSD, from just growing up, from the way I was raised, things I heard in the household that anybody I hear say certain things today, it will just trigger me based on what happened to me when I was younger, But now that I'm a believer, Andre, the word of God has helped me a lot, It has helped me a lot. So I just want to challenge. He said to the ghetto youths, to the people that grow up in poverty and stuff like that. If you live by the word of God, you live by the 10 Commandments. Those still do not kill, honor your mother or father. Do these things. Even if your mother and father were the ones telling you to go and rob people and you follow from the example. You have a better example in God. You have a better example in Jesus Christ. That will lead you in the right direction. And if you do that, your life will change tremendously. Now you will have we're supposed to be under control. You understand? God is the one supposed to be controlling us, not the devil. So no matter how much we want to, we will say we don't want to be under control. Something has to be controlling us. And the sad thing people don't understand, and people don't see that we're born in sin. And when we're born in sin, we are controlled by the devil. Unless God doesn't turn your life around and save you, you will be controlled by the devil. And I pray that for everyone listening, that we'll come to that realization and understanding, and treat the Bible, give God his full power. Don't give man that power. God is the one that says, this is what I want in my word, and this is what you're supposed to live by.
Can I ask you a question?
Yes, go ahead.
When you say the devil, is it okay to say people's perception of the devil is the evil one, or the devil as God's prosecutor?
The evil, well, you could say it is both, The devil is against God. The devil is God's persecutor. The devil comes to steal, kill, and destroy. That's what the Bible says.
The devil is also working under God's command, eh? Because when the devil had to go and attack Job, he asked God for permission to use that as the analogy.
Right. But yes. But we have to understand that also, based on what Adam and Eve did, the world was given over to the devil. So yes, God is always in control. And then the Bible also says that when Jesus came down, he went to this strong man's house and he tied him up. He didn't kill him, but he tied him up. So the devil is under God's control. He cannot just do things. You understand where I come from? But the world belongs to the devil.
So after you encounter the devil, you become a better person, no?
After you encounter him?
Yeah. You become a strong. You become a strong. You're supposed to become a stronger person.
After you encounter God, Jesus Christ, the word, that's when you become a better person.
No, when I mean encounter, I mean when the devil give you the challenges and the obstacles and the tribulations and the hardships, and you embrace that, you become a better person, no?
Yeah, the only way you will come over these obstacles and these tribulations is through God. You cannot do it on your own.
No, well, you cannot do nothing on your own because the presence of God is in all of us, yeah?
You cannot do it on your own.
Okay, we'll have to interrupt this very exciting discussion.
Yes,
but just before we leave, Jonathan, you said some things a while ago after you left, your incarceration, that you had to now go and sort of find yourself. You said you had to go to the river, you had to do this and that and the other. Therapy, right, exactly. But Dr. Gillard, isn't that exactly what we're talking about in terms of being strong?
No, that's not being strong. That's finding yourself. That's causing yourself to be vulnerable. And that's what he did. He allowed himself to be vulnerable for the first time.
But Dr. Gillard,
in his life.
He could have just given up and say the system is against me, whatever. You know, and that he would be considered weak for allowing that.
Yes, he could have also turned to smoking, to more womanizing, to numb what he was feeling, but he didn't.
But he was being strong, and people would admire him for being strong. And isn't that what was expected of we the men?
Yes, so that's what's expected. And we play right into what is expected, but we don't have to do what is expected. Because what is expected is not benefiting society. Because we have a lot of hurting people out there who are hurting other people. Yes? So, as we close, Andre,
yes.
I mean, even the caller who just called a while ago, one of the things I find a lot of persons do is blame. So I blame the devil for my misfortune. I blame this one for me feeling a certain way. And blame is basically telling somebody or something that I am powerless against you. We are not powerless against anybody or anything. We need to stop blaming people for our misfortune or how we feel, and face that we are having an experience and it's our experience. So how can I go inside and be with that experience as much as possible, be vulnerable with that in that experience, maybe ask for help, let somebody know that I am hurting. And that's a challenge I want to put out to all men who are listening today. So you're stressed, you're feeling overwhelmed, you're feeling angry, you feel emotionally exhausted. There's nothing wrong with you. You're not weak. You're not human. You are human. So talk to somebody for the next week. Talk to somebody. Even one sentence. Let somebody know I am not okay. Let somebody know I need help. I need a hug. I'm hurting. Asking for help is not weakness. It is wisdom, and it develops strength. And that's what we want to do with our men.
Who say big man don't cry?
Beautiful.
That's not weakness.
Exactly. Thank you very much for that. Man. And thanks for showing up for me today.
Yeah, man, I'm my boss.
I appreciate your presence.
I would like to show off, for the people to see what my boss teach me, because, hey, it wasn't for you that pressed that button in my life, I will not be where I is today. So, I could only share my gratitude and tell you more thanks,
But thanks for taking up the how you call it?
Baton?
The baton.
Yeah, man. Mm-hmm. Yeah, man, because right now I could say I've already reached over 50,000 students.
Wow.
And I know, well, boy, even though it's 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 out of them that will continue that.
Yes.
That is a blessing for me.
Beautiful.
From there now, I realize that I've already tackled all the children. My next project is to tackle the parents and give them that foresight and that insight. as to what emotional intelligence is, what spiritual intelligence is. So when the children come home, you have a better way of engaging, rather than you shut yourself down or you go into your coping mechanisms, whether it's TV or you go and smoke or you go in the block. You could face your children.
Yeah, maybe we can have another chat about that.
Yeah,
you can link me and we can have another chat
about the healing process of trauma, in the sense of reparenting your inner child.
Yes, beautiful.
Because if you don't reparent your inner child, you will die and your inner child not heal you. Yeah, so.
Yes, so thank you everybody for listening.
Thank you.
And tuning next week when we'll continue our men series, and hopefully we have another guest.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, Dr. Gilead.
Yes,
and thank you, Jonathan Ninja Dan.
You almost said Dr. St. Rose.
Why not? Why not?
Mind Matters is heard and seen exclusively on Rev-Up St. Lucia every Wednesday from 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. And Mind Matters is brought to you with the compliments of Forsyth.
Mental health is the foundation of our well-being, yet too often it's overlooked. At Forsyth Mental Health Solutions, our team, led by a licensed psychiatrist, provides personalized assessments and treatments for depression, anxiety, psychosis, dementia, and more, bringing expertise, compassion, and solutions that make a real difference. We also provide forensic psychiatry assessments, mental capacity evaluations, and workplace training and seminars, giving organizations the tools to support employee mental wellness. For more information or to schedule a consultation, visit us at the Top-of-Your Hospital, New Wing, Castries. Call 459-2234, send a WhatsApp message to 584-9498, or email us at forsych.mhs@gmail.com. That's forepsych.mhs@gmail.com. Our professional staff will be more than willing to assist you. Visit Forsyth Mental Health Solution and let us build a future where mental health is prioritized. Because when minds thrive, so do people.
Rev-Up St. Lucia 95.9 FM presents a program that puts your mental well-being first. Mind Matters. Hosted by Dr. Julius Gilliard, St. Lucia's own psychiatrist, taking you in